Good afternoon, and welcome to We Believe Digital News Break. Broadcasting to you live here from very sunny Jackson, Mississippi, 92 degrees and rising, a very clear sky. We Believe Digital is seeking to be your studio of choice in the Jackson area, especially to get your message out. And we welcome your phone calls. Please dial in at 1-800-492-5186 if you have any comments or questions or statements regarding the show or any show, and also if you're interested in utilizing the podcast studio or sponsoring many of the shows that we have that we broadcast here each week. I think there's currently 25 shows each week, and that number is rising steadily. So we're glad you're with us today. Sadly, Mr. Garrett can't join me today due to a conflict that he just couldn't help. But he encouraged me to come on and just keep things rolling. So I'll just do my best with that. And again, glad that you're here and joining us today. You know, yesterday we spoke a lot about the city council in Jackson, Mississippi, and once again, this is a body of 7 council people representing the 7 different wards in Jackson, and one of the big items that's been going on is this trash contract, and last Friday there was a status hearing in the Hinds County Chancery Court. And a substitute, or should say special chancellor, was appointed from Meridian, Mississippi, to come here to Jackson and hear this case that more or less centered on, does the mayor of Jackson have the ability to veto the city council's no vote or a vote of inaction, anything except an affirmative vote. And the judge, and the long and the short of it was, the judge said no, that he does not have that authority. Now he's weighing at the present time whether or not to appeal that decision. And some people have had enough of this and are ready to move on, wish the council would just concede. The new vendor has been picking up trash now into their fourth month of services, hasn't received a penny. The city council voted to not pay their claim that they submitted for the first month of services that they provided. So it's a real conundrum. The city is really in limbo, and this trash contract is a big part of it. And back to the city council, that is their prerogative to vote no on any motion that's put before them at any time. Of course, if it's a majority no vote, well, then that's the answer. Just like in the event it's a majority affirmative vote, we don't question that. And so, but it does lead one to believe. We had a company here in Jackson providing trash collection services for over 35 years, a multinational corporation called Waste Management. And I'm sure they did a fine job and all that, but nonetheless, an RFP was put out, and a low bidder, a bidder came forth that was not only low, but $1.2 million a year lower than what Waste Management was put forth for essentially the very same service. And that was voted down. And when we say, well, what's the difference between the two? The current vendor that's been put to work under an emergency declaration is an African-American company that's been hauling trash in New Orleans and Baton Rouge now for 25 plus years. And obviously, if you're doing the job for that amount of time, you know how to do that job. So it's not so much about the performance of the job. It's about, is there any way that we can, with prices escalating at every corner. Is there any way that we can get this done for less? Well, my goodness, $1.2 million a year less is a substantial savings. And I promise you, our city is cash strapped. We have a declining tax base in the Jackson area. Folks have moved away, more or less decided to go elsewhere to live, off to these bedroom communities in a lot of cases. And some people say, abandoning the city. And so we have less money to work with, less of a tax base, a broken economic structure. And this would be a way to not only put the trash contract, a significant contract, in the hands of an African-American company in our African-American city, 85% black population here. But the majority of city council, the majority of those black council members said no to that. And so we're in a state of limbo, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. There's a lot of buzz on the street about different things that could be transpiring with that. And a lot of citizens are telling the local broadcast news stations that, come on now, we got water troubles we need to worry about. Let's just move on from this trash contract. Let's get this settled as quickly as we can and move on. So that's kind of where we're at. So we'll see what happens. I sense that we'll hear in pretty short order what the next steps are going to be. If the mayor is going to appeal, if other entities will file suit. I mean, I don't know too many companies that can do business for 4 months and not have any revenue from that contract coming in. So who knows? Maybe Richards Disposal will have something to say to the courts about all this. So we're just going to have to wait and see. As of mid-afternoon yesterday, the judge's ruling from last Friday had still not been entered, and so this 10-day period for the next piece of action, whatever that will be, that clock had not started. Now, it may have started last night or today, and I'm not aware of that, but so we're just going to have to wait and see what happens with this trash contract. We'd love to hear your comments and ideas about this, and so please don't hesitate to call in 1-800-492-5186. So we'll move on. We'll move on now to the next topic, and it was on July 5th, not even 10 days ago, that the city council held its annual elections for the positions of president and vice president of the council. And lo and behold, there was one council member that was nominated, but for the position of presidency, a one-year position. But that person did not receive the majority vote. And so another council member voted for Mr. Ashby Foote, who represents, since 2014, who represents Ward 1 in the city. And he was elected to the presidency by a majority vote. And so it's very interesting because, as I mention all the time, Mississippi is the poorest state in the country. Mississippi also has the largest African American population of any state in the country per capita, and here in Jackson, our African American population is 85%, or just shy of 85%, and we have a black mayor, and we have a city council that has 5 out of 7 of its members that are African American. And you think to yourself, man, oh man, this is going to be great news. This is terrific because now these black citizens many with demonstrated leadership ability, many with business experience, have raised their hand, offered to serve the city in the capacity of councilperson, and been elected by the voters in their ward to come together, and of course to be able to work with the mayor, with the administration, to get things done for the betterment of the city. And also, obviously, in a predominantly African-American city, to be able to demonstrate through different ways black advancement in this predominantly black city. And yet that's not what we're seeing. And last summer, one of the two white people on the council, a lady by the name of Virgie Lindsay, who represents Ward 7, was elected to the council presidency. And interesting, by many accounts, she did a great job. I know for her constituents up there in the Belhaven area, a lot of things were accomplished, and they laud her highly for that. As far as a black advancement throughout the city, not so sure about that. But in any event, the predominantly black council voted her in as the president for a one-year term. So fair enough. So now that period of time is gone by the boards, and it was time for elections again on July 5th. And sure enough, the end result, now for the second year in a row, the only other white person on the city council was voted in as the president. So we just have to see about this. He's been here for since 2014, and on the council, he's been an established businessman in the council, I believe in the wealth management investment type sphere for 25 or more years. Well known throughout the city and all, Mr. Foote, Ashby Foote. So let's see what's going to happen, and utilizing the influence that these folks have for black advancement in our black city. Wouldn't that be amazing? And isn't that what the people vote for when they vote to put folks on the council? You know, to be able to play well with others, to be able to work constructively with the mayor of the city. Don't have to agree with the mayor on everything, but let's sit down and talk about it instead of taking this tribal approach of, if you don't agree 100% with what I have to say, then you're the enemy. That is not serving the people. And we need help here in Jackson. We don't need infighting and elected officials calling one another names out in public. And, we need people that are willing to promote business, to care about the dignity and welfare of all Jacksonians, and to move this city forward, especially with black advancements. Less than 5%. And just yesterday, I asked the administrator of the city to please provide me with a contact number so I can find out, if this percentage number has changed in the last 9 months or a year. But the number that I have now is that less than 5% of city contracts in a predominantly black city are awarded to black businessmen and women. It's just bizarre with a capital B. So let's hope that Mr. Foote can lead the way towards black advancement and black businesses getting more contracts from our city, and create an economic base here, broaden the economic base, reestablish a black middle class. It's essential to our moving forward. Again, we'll take your calls at 1-800-492-5186, and we're going to dip out for just a minute here with the commercial breaks, brought to you by our amazing young producer, Jaleesa B.
Socrates Garrett, ENT.com, is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. SocratesGarrettENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into MDOT grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using SocratesGarrettENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Wedding, milestone anniversary, or corporate event, 5 Star Lodge is the rustic elegance you need for your event space. With hardwood and stunning chandeliers, this is just the beginning of the 5-star treatment. Our on-site venue manager will ensure all details exceed your expectations. We offer a luxurious bridal lounge, beautiful reception hall, cabins, and an outdoor pavilion on the water. Visit 5stareventlodge.com to get started on your most memorable experience.
Advertise on WeBelieve.Global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.Global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
And welcome back to We Believe Digital News Break. We're glad you're joining us today. We'll just skip out for just a second to on the national level. The FDA announced over the weekend that the second booster shot is now going to be available to all adults. And so, the booster shot was available to, to those, the second booster was available to those 50 and above. However, now it's going to be available to, they're working hard to make that available to all adults. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as this second, this other BA2 variant of the Omicron, this is lingering around, and we're still having to deal with this so far into this pandemic. So those vaccines will surely help. Another national news story, the January 6th hearings, they had the 7th public televised hearing yesterday. More and more information coming forward from folks that, felt like they were duped and riled up by the former president and conducting this insurrection, and come to find out they're gaining more and more information that the whole thing was planned in advance. So the idea of this being an impromptu rally that all of a sudden turned into turmoil, that turned into an insurrection, that turned into having gallows set up outside the Capitol to hang the vice president, breaking windows, assaulting Capitol police officers, technically killing one or two, injuring many Capitol police officers. It wasn't just a willy-nilly event. There was clear planning that went back for some time prior to this. So the powder keg was carefully put in place, and then the match was lit on January 6th. Very sad day. Very sad day. Power must be just so intoxicating that people lose their minds, to do something like that. So we'll have to see what's coming up. I think there'll be another hearing later on this week, and we'll be sure to share that with you as we gain more information about that. Wanted to mention, I forgot to mention earlier, along the lines with this trash contract here in Jackson, at the very same time that there's all this confusion and limbo about the trash contract. Can the mayor override the veto? And was the emergency declaration appropriate? And should he have sent this other company to work, etc. All the million questions. In spite of all that, just a reminder that at the same time that while all that's going on, the city council votes in the majority to increase the solid waste fees effective in about 25 days from now. And, from $20.84 a month up to $37 a month, a nearly 78% increase in the solid waste bill. So a lot of people are speaking out about, wait, how on earth can you be raising the fees when, you're not even paying the company that's doing the work now? So that's something that's just really confusing to people. The broadcast news stations are interviewing folks and hearing clips from people all over the city that are just really frustrated with this proposed rate hike and with the shenanigans of the whole trash contract, and want to see it come to an end, because God knows we have other things that we can be focusing on here in our city with soul. So that's that. The last topic I wanted to mention today is some good news, and it seemed like we're always there's a lot of trouble in Jackson, Mississippi, and it seemed like we're always talking about the negative and the negative, and this wasn't right in Jackson, but it sure was in Mississippi. That there was just a piece of that kind of news that just makes you stop whatever you're doing and pause and reflect, because people got a lot to say about young people these days, and I think from time to time I have been one of them that's had a lot to say about younger people, but the truth is, what we're handing over to these young people is no setup for a home run here. This is not easy, what we're asking these young people to absorb and accept and take responsibility for continuing to march, to march everything down the street. But about a week or so ago, a 16-year-old African-American male by the name of Corian Evans received a certificate of commendation from Moss Point Mayor Billy Knight. And you know what this young man did? A 16-year-old black man in Moss Point was adjacent to the Pascagoula River, and he saw 3 teenage girls in distress in the river crying for help. And this young man had the presence of mind to put whatever pressures and thoughts and things are going through the mind of a 16-year-old aside, and pulled that phone out of his pocket and some other things and threw them on the side of the hill there and jumped into that river. And by the time he got to the girls, a police officer had arrived on the scene, and he got in there too. And the next thing you know, we got a happy ending, because this man played a substantial role in saving these 3 teenage girls from a distress situation. And the mayor down there in Moss Point says, we're so proud of the young man for having the courage to forget about himself and jump into the water. And it's not often enough that you see people put others above themselves. And I sure would like to meet that young man. It'd be a privilege to shake his hand. But let's not be giving up hope on these young people. They're entering a wild, wild world that we're living in right now, a rapidly changing world, a divided world full of tribalism and, not a lot of love thy neighbor. A lot of Christians running around with gold crosses dangling from their neck, and yet is there an equal amount of love thy neighbor going on? I'm not sure I see it. So We Believe Digital salutes you, young man, Corian Evans, and so glad that you got that commendation down there in your city, and we wish you well. And if by chance you hear this broadcast, be sure to call us. We'd love to invite you up here and have you be a guest in our studio. We'd love to talk to you. So hats off to you, Corian Evans. Well, that's all we have today for you on We Believe Digital. We plan to be back Friday afternoon, I'm not positive I'll be able to make it Friday, but Mr. Garrett surely will. So, but we hope to see you Friday afternoon. Now, that time will be a little bit different. That time will be 2 p.m. And just as a last-minute reminder, is tomorrow we kick off our Kingdom Prayers with Dr. Joseph White, pastor and Dr. Joseph White. And that'll be at the noon hour tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Now, that's not a Bible study. It's a prayer hour. It's about summoning prayer and sharing prayer with our listeners and soliciting prayer with our listeners and forming a community of prayer where we start our day in the studio each day with that. Ultimately, it'll be each day. For now, it's just going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon. To start the day in a prayerful way, and we enlist your support and involvement. We want you to be part of that. So, and remember, 1-800-492-5186. Be sure to make a note for tomorrow at noon, 12 noon, with Kingdom Prayers with Dr. Joseph White. Thank you so much for your time and listening, and we're so glad that you tune in to We Believe Digital. Have a great day and be safe out there.